Are you looking for comprehensive solutions for your performance and automotive needs? Straight Line Performance and Automotive is a full-service auto repair shop specializing in race car fabrication, electrical design, chassis setup and alignment. Located in Hamden, Connecticut, they also specialize in aftermarket high performance and chassis upgrades. Be sure to look them up on Facebook at www.facebook.com/straightline, STR8LINE, Performance, &Automotive, or give them a call at 203-415-5316. Welcome, racers and fans, to your weekly dose of all things sportsman drag racing. This is Racers News Network Live, presented to you by Straight Line Performance and Automotive. Your hosts, Chris and Pete, bring you the latest news and interviews in the world of sportsman drag racing, including bracket racing, association races, outlaw, and no-time events. They are live every Monday night, right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take it away, boys.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Racers News Network Live. We got an awesome guest to talk to tonight. A couple things to get to before we talk to our guest. Pete may or may not be joining us, kind of to be determined. Unfortunately, he lost his uncle the other day, and the services are tomorrow, and they're doing some last-minute preparation for that. So he's trying very hard, but we're not 100% sure. And obviously, if he can't, priorities in the world do exist, and there are things more important than Racers News Network Live. But with that being said, last Friday kicked off the Winter Olympics in Beijing, and it was kind of cool. A few weeks ago, I got to talking with this guy who's going to be joining us here, and he is an Olympic hopeful in the sport of skeet shooting, trap shooting, whichever term you want to use for it. And it was pretty cool because obviously I'm a parent of somebody who was a junior Olympian in the sport of archery, and I was that kind of Roger beeped inside my brain, and we got to talking about it, and I said, hey, would you be interested in coming on our show and talking about how you can take what you learn in skeet shooting, combine it with the sport of drag racing, mix them all together? And he's like, absolutely. There's a whole lot of things that tie in with both sports that benefit each individual sport. So I thought it'd be really cool. So joining us tonight is going to be from the great state of Louisiana, Nick Kissack. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for letting me join you and talk about this awesome sport that we all love and that we endure, loving cars, and obviously I love guns as well. So yes, this is a privilege, and thank you for having me.
Very cool. Yeah. So did you obviously get a chance to watch the opening ceremonies, or do you just kind of tune that stuff out and focus strictly on your stuff?
I strictly just focus on my stuff. Like I do watch the games, but because this is the Winter Games, now I do have friends that are competing in the Winter Games in bobsledding and also in skeleton. So yes, I'll be rooting for them, and we'll see how they're doing and everything else like that. So yes.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I'm an Olympic freak. I love both the summer and the winter. I like the summer a little bit more just because of obviously archery. But I definitely enjoy watching the Olympics. And I don't talk politics a lot, but it was kind of comical. They were talking on NBC during the opening ceremonies. Let's not make it about politics. There's no politics. Politics don't belong in this. What did they talk about an awful lot in the opening ceremonies? Politics.
Yes, very much so. And it's horrible. And I mean, and it's something that it's something that I don't like to discuss either. And due to the fact that a lot of people don't know that bunker, which is trap shooting and skeet shooting, is in the Olympics. A lot of people don't know that. But that being said, all the other countries are into that game. Over here in America, I'm not trying to get on a politic face.
No,
I'm not
that's
trying
fine.
to do that at all. They don't know, we don't talk about guns much over here. So they don't really show our programs. They don't show the skeet shooters and the trap shooters. And what people probably don't know either is that we actually have a 3-time Olympic gold medalist back from 2012, 2016, and in 2020 games, Vincent Hancock, #1 skeet shooter ranked in the world. And he shoots for us in the United States. And that being said, we actually have another lady. Her name is Kimberly Rhodes. She started shooting, and she was our very first Olympic gold medalist in skeet shooting for women's back in 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016. She is a phenomenal shooter. So that being said, the people don't really know that about us, and so it's like, and so yeah, it's very awesome to know that we have some of the best shooters over here in America, and I'm just trying to promote that as well. So
we're going to kind of go back and forth between drag
Okay.
racing and skeet shooting, and
Okay.
then like I said, obviously there's like you told me when we talked a few weeks ago, there's sides from here that you can put together, and it all benefits each side.
yes.
So what came first, your interest in trap shooting, skeet shooting, or your interest in drag racing?
Okay, going back to my history, my family back in Kansas, where I'm originally from, my family owned a parts store. And growing up into the parts store business, my dad had a 56 Chevy. And I always loved the interest of cars. My mom would actually give me brand new spark plugs to teeth on. So I was actually teething on spark plugs. And so my interest in cars was at a very young age. And then my dad went back in, back in 1989, 1990, my dad actually bought me my first junior dragster. And so I went drag racing with my father. And then it just escalated from there. We bought a Nova from Todd Patterson, from Alan Patterson. It was a super stocker. We bought that car from him. And I ran super stock for a couple of years until a tornado unfortunately destroyed our car and everything else. And yeah, it was a bad deal. So I started running that. Then my dad was always a shooter. My dad was an outdoorsman. And so my love of guns and my love of drag racing kind of came hand in hand. And I really didn't notice as far as drag racing and shooting come hand in hand. I kind of noticed that later in life. But after realizing and after really getting in depth about this game, about bunker and about just shooting overall, how our reaction times can come down to play in this. Because we only have now, my targets that I shoot, they come out of the bunker at 68 to 80 miles an hour. You have 0.2 of a second to react to the target, and you're allowed 2 shots at one target. So by the time your first shot, you're already at 80 yards. Your second shot's about 120 yards. And shooting out with a shotgun is remarkable, trying to get it with the second shot. And so you have to be quick. And to be quick, you have to be able to decipher the color and, like, obviously on the tree. So we're going to drag racing here at night. When we're talking about night racing, how the light actually, you guys have, people have tendency have a slower reaction time during the nighttime just because of the lights, and it's hard to decipher the colors. Well, it's kind of like that in shooting. We sometimes have to decipher the color and that's why our glasses that we use now. I'm a big, huge fanatic on Pilla shooting glasses. They are the #1 shooting glass in the world. They are very expensive, but they do enhance the target. And that being said, now when we're talking about enhancing the target, I also look at it like lenses like polarized lenses or anything. Now Luke Bogacki, which I was in, this was Bracket Racing Elite, and Luke deciphers that as well. Luke actually doesn't use a mirror lens or anything. He actually uses a clear lens, and sometimes he doesn't even use sunglasses, because he said that that sometimes throws him off as far as on the tree. So you get different points, you get different perspectives on like deciphering the tree and deciphering colors and how to react. That's the whole key principle of this, is reaction. The reaction time is critical. And it's just like on the tree, either it's 4/10 or 5/10, or shooting a target, it's 2/10 or 3/10 of a second. So because we live by thousandths of an inch every day. And that's how we have to decipher on the tree when we're all drag racing, when we're all out there trying to be the best on the tree, and a lot of people get this concept real quickly. A lot of people get the concept, I'm trying to beat you. I'm trying to go out and just hammer on your butt. But in the sports of bracket racing, it's actually the opposite, because you're my friend. It's actually me going against the time that I put up there on the scoreboard. And that's where we're trying to race ourselves. Instead of trying to race the person against us, it's the clock that we're trying to beat.
Right.
If people can psychologically get into that emphasis of how to cipher that, then that and going into the mental game, if people had that mental perspective of it, then they pretty much have it down. And see, I had the opportunity to go to Frank Hawley's drag racing school. So I was under Frank for a couple days out there in Gainesville, and learning all of that and learning the whole mental perspective of this whole game. It's like, wow, we're really making this difficult, because how we can have mental blockage, how we can have, like, because it's all up here. It's like in shooting, it's 93% mental. And that's it's kind of like that in racing. It's not really a physical sport. Now it drains you when it's hot, when you're in the racing suit and the helmet, and we'll get to that later. But it's the mental blockage is what we have. And because we are the ones that actually hurt ourselves because we think too much. And I mean, a lot of racers probably will agree with that.
Way overthink a lot of things. Yeah. We
do. And sitting in the staging lanes, like, we need to think about, what if, like, what is this? Like, what do we do here? There's a lot of things that we have to look at, but in reality, we need to be able to try to make it simple. And I use the KISS method. I am big on the KISS method. I always say, keep it simple, stupid. Because we need to keep it simple. If we don't keep it simple, then we already defeated ourselves. Whether you're going up against Justin Lamb, Luke Bogacki, Gary Stinnett, or Johnny Ezel, or Gary Williams Jr., or Troy Williams, or Johnny LaBouse, or, we're talking some heavy hitters that are really good in bracket racing, like Adam Davis or Brad Plord. When people see, like, when people see that and they're staging up against them, knowing that these guys are heavy hitters, they pretty much already defeated themselves, because they're thinking, I can't beat this guy. But in reality, we're actually trying to beat ourselves. We're trying to be what is on the clock, and not think about what the other person in the lane, whoever his name is. We need to be able to focus on a task at hand. And that is to be able to decipher on how you produce. It's all about how you produce.
So, all right. Junior dragsters. Would you start We practically everybody we've talked to started out in a junior. What did you graduate to from there?
I graduated from a junior to a super stocker, to a 1966 Nova is what I actually graduated from. And then it was unfortunate that we lost that car in a tornado, and it was a bad deal. It was horrible. And my dad taught me the most important lesson in life about that day when we pretty much lost everything. And it was like the whole purpose was like, Nick, everything can be replaced, but a life can't. And that is so true. You know, and I kind of lost my interest in drag racing after that. And then I kind of gave it up a little bit. And then that's when I started really focus on what can I do now? Like, what is my next step? What is my next motive? And so I picked up shooting, and I really picked up bunker. And so I really love the game. I love the mental aspect of it. So that's how this all came about. And then when I moved down here to Louisiana, a friend of mine got me into drag racing. He drives a dragster, obviously. And so I was like, I want to try to drive a dragster. Never driven one. So I went to Frank College School. I had a 620 Ohio crankshaft motor. Then I was like, hey, this is a lot of fun. And you can't really mess up in a dragster, because if you mess up in a dragster, then you're pretty much done for. And I noticed that, like, you can't give them 0.02 of an inch, because they got you. And so yeah, there's a lot to learn on a dragster side. There's a lot to learn on that. And Johnny Izzo is actually building my chassis right now, so he's in the process of building it. It's been a while because there's other priorities. And obviously trying to make the Olympic Games is my number one priority right now. So
yeah, because you're 2 years away from the next Olympics.
Yes.
So now that you're in, I guess you could call it the countdown to 2024. I think it's in Paris, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
It is in Paris. It is. Yes, that is correct.
Where do you stand as far as what's going on this year for trying to get? I mean, I assume I assume ski is similar to archery. You know, be a compound or recurve. You know, you guys have to travel all around the world, do all these different competitions, shooting against, you know, the best of the best.
Yes.
Is that true?
It is true, and you're exactly right on that. And I'm very shocked that you know that, because a lot of people don't realize we have to travel around the world. You have to travel in order to, because you have qualifications. You have to qualify. You just can't try to go to a shoot and try to make it on the Olympic team. We just had the U.S. selection match in Tucson, Arizona 2 weeks ago, and my gun malfunctioned. I did horrible. Like, I am not gonna lie. Like, I was at the bottom of the list. I did horrendous. Like, it wasn't good. So I have a lot to make up for. But I still have. I still can. Since I did that, I'm in the process of qualifying for the next national team, and that's next year, because we all have to start over again. So it's like, if you make the national team this year, at the end of December, that all goes back to zero. You have to start over, and you have to be able to, and you have to see who's going to make it on the Olympic spot. And they only take 2. That's all they take on the Olympics, is only 2 people. And there's 4,200 shooters. The world's best shooters in the United States go after it, and they only take 2. So it's
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's very difficult. So
Now, the other interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people know about Olympic athletes is you're self-funded. USOC isn't going, okay, Nick, here's a check for $50,000, go to it. This is all more or less out of your right rear pocket.
yes. In roughly, and me and my coach, my coach is named Brian Burrows, and he actually is a bronze medalist at the last year games in mixed trap with him and Kayla Browning from Arkansas. And Brian actually lives now in Texas, in Dallas, and he's my coach. And we were putting a figure on how much it costs a year to shoot is about $115,000. That's a lot of money. And so, and you are 100% correct. We have to self-fund it ourselves. We do not have sponsors. In order to get sponsors in shooting, you have to win a medal. You cannot just go to a sponsor and say, "Oh, I did this, this, and this." They want to see results. They want to see, I want to see the medals you won. I want to see the gun you use. I want to see all this.
Right. Benelli and Browning aren't going to go, "Oh, hey, that's cool. Here's $25,000.
You're right. That would be nice. And a lot of the Olympians actually shoot like the shotgun that I'm actually trying to buy right now. It's about $16,000.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money just for a gun. And $16,000 could buy me a lot of car parts. But I'm buying a gun that is actually, that's my tool. And so it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to try to go after. This is my goal right now. Put the race car to a side, and I'm trying to go after something that I want to achieve, because right now I'm 38 years old. And by the time the next Olympic Games come around, I'm almost going to be 40. And my shoulder just can't take the abuse. And so I'm going to try 2 more times. And if I don't make it, hey, I don't make it, but at least I can say that I tried, because it is very difficult. Very difficult.
So saying the self-funded part, again, is something that you can take and bring to the racing side of the universe, because again, Lucas Oil, whoever isn't going to go, may not go, "Okay, here's 10 grand. Have fun." You gotta come with results in your pocket and something to offer them.
Correct. Yes. And to get sponsored, it's kind of easier to get sponsored in the racing world. And I actually took this as racing sponsorships with Jeff Lambert. He actually created the book, how you can get a sponsor. And I took that class, and there's a lot of information to be read out there with him. He can help anybody get a sponsor in the racing world, or anything any hobby that you want and try to get sponsored. He really goes in depth, and he really tried to help me out. He really helped me out a lot by presenting myself, or how to present myself. So that being said, my hat goes off to Jeff Lambert about the race sponsorships, and be able to focus on how to sell point. But unfortunately, like you said, self-funded part in the Olympics, in order for me to try to get a sponsor in the shooting world, I have to win medals. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get sponsors. But when I come back to I shouldn't say but when I do come back over to the racing world eventually, it's going to be easy for me to actually try to find sponsors, because a lot of the people have this my concept about sponsorships is, what can you do for me? And actually, all reality is, what can I do for the company? Why should they represent me? And if you have that mindset as that, then you're able to go out and talk to people, because it's not always about what can you do for me? What can you do for me? Oh, it's actually, what can I do for the company?
And a lot of times on both sides of the fence, it's not necessarily about putting together the most amazing presentation you've ever put together, the best words in the world ever put on paper. Sometimes it's just about luck, being in the right place at the right time.
So true. So true.
So bouncing back to the Olympic side of the universe now, is it true that you kind of have to be careful with sponsorship, about what you get, because you could almost be considered a professional versus,
Yes.
an amateur.
Yes. And we can't, I mean, I could talk about because it hasn't happened to me and I'm not on the national team or anything like that. So, yes, they cannot talk about their endorsements. They can't talk about what is being given to behind closed doors. They can't do it because you are 100% correct. That is illegal. Now that being said, when you're talking about the shooting sports aspect being self-funded, we're not talking about like gymnastics or swimming or volleyball or basketball where we have the NBA basketball stars. We have to be careful because we're dealing with something that a lot of politicians don't want to see because they're trying to ban what we got, and they're trying to end the shooting sports. And the thing is, and I'm not trying to go on a political phrase, but a lot of people see this on the news, everything that guns are bad. That guns, they're trying to end our program. It's like, it breaks my heart knowing that we're trying to go out here and try to represent our country, to go out and producing scholarships, like the shooting scholarships. I didn't even think I was going to talk about this. Like the shooting scholarships in colleges and high schools right now is awesome to see. A lot of schools are getting into this Olympic bunker program. And because they're like, oh, you can get to the Olympics. Yeah, you can shoot a gun. You don't have to run. You don't have to be a superstar athlete. If you're good with the shotgun, you come shooting with us and see how good you are.
There's a, well, she's 22 or 23 now, year-old girl that was on my son's Joed team, who got a full ride to I don't remember the name of the college, but it was out in the Dakotas, I think South Dakota. 4 years, full ride. Saw her over the weekend on TV at the Vegas shoot. They're out there competing, for their college, and again, full ride, 4 years.
Right. And I kind of wish they had that for like like motorsports as well. Besides going to like Samtech or doing that, because there's a lot of mechanical engineers that come out of like that are really mechanically inclined that can actually try to get full ride scholarships of trying to become something like on a top fuel team or on a pro mod team. Or, I know we're going to the racing side, but it seems like the automotive sports and the shooting sports, they're trying to create scholarships for our future generation, because it's actually what we're going to be leaving behind is what are we going to be leaving our kids? I have an 8-year-old son, and I would love for him to keep the shooting tradition, keep the racing going, but he kind of has no interest in that right now, but I'm hoping that changes. But we got to keep protecting what we have, and with the politics with guns and with scholarships with colleges, and the people are trying to end this. It's like, what are they trying to do? They're trying to hurt our future generation on all aspects. I mean, you're looking at us going green with these electric Copo cars, with the electric Cobra Jet, and it's like, man, it's like, you can only do so much. It's like you're always going to need fuel, and it's like, man, it hurts. It hurts to think about all of this in the aspect of this whole era that we're in.
Now, obviously, there's been a lot of talk, really, over the past probably year and few months about the electric cars. As a competitor, what is your take lining up next to a Tesla that is supposedly 9 seconds out of the box?
I wouldn't care, because and I go back to stating I have to race my own race. I don't care what the other guy has. I'm not focused on who I'm racing up against. I don't care if it's Peter Biondo or I always use Adam Davis, Brad Plord, all those guys. I don't care if they're next to me. I can care less. All I'm going to be going up there is how can I perform my best, knowing if I can get myself mentally right in the head, saying, you know what, I can do this. Don't worry about the other guy in your lane. You just got to race your own race, and you got to be able to know how to finish out the finish line. Now, they're great finish line finishers. Like, they are some of the best. But you just got to go out there and you just got to race your own race. And you have to know you only have to have in yourself to really think about, I can do this. Like, I know where I need to drop. Or if you're running nitrous, I'm laying on the tree, I'll bump it some. I'll use the nitrous, and then I'll try to get up on it. I'll try to get up on them and try to get a wheel on them and drop. It's, you have to be able to race your own race. And that's kind of like in going back to the shooting. I have to shoot my own shoot. I could be standing up again, and this actually happened at the selection match. I was shooting up against my coach, and not only that, the #1 ranked shooter in the world. I mean, all around world. His name is Derek Mine. He's actually from Kansas. He was on my left. My coach was on my right. Then I had an Army U.S. Marksmanship Unit guy that's been shooting for 25 years, Bunker, and he is a 6-time silver medalist. His name is Glenn Eller. And I had these guys on my squad. And I was like, man, it's like, but I had to focus my mind and said, I have to shoot my own game and not focus on what they're doing. And that's the whole basic concept of this. It is like when you're in that car, when anybody's in their car, they just need to speak to themselves and says, I don't care who's in that lane. I got to race my own race. And I have to get the mental aspect, knowing that I can do this. And that's what we all have to think about on the mental aspect part.
Right.
And that's what Frank Hawley also preached on too, about getting into the head. And to be honest, make friends with neurosurgeons. If you really want to know how a brain works, be a friend with a neurosurgeon. Frank Hawley is friends with 8 neurosurgeons, 8 of them. He gets all their concepts from neurosurgeons. So if anybody knows a neurosurgeon out there, be friends with them and learn everything that the brain thinks. Because if you can think back,
no pun intended, pick their brain, right?
Right, exactly. Right. So that being said, I know I'm switching subjects from going to that now, but I'm going to the nutrition part, because this is huge. And I noticed a big difference. And it also helps out a friend of mine actually is a nutritionist and a dietitian. She teaches that in high school and also in college. And talking about like fatty foods, talking about eating healthy. Shooting does take a toll on our bodies, just like swimmers, basketball players, any sport out there, and also drag racing or any type of racing, a lot of like roundy round or IndyCar or anything like that. They have to watch what they eat. And because fatty foods will actually slow your process will actually slow your reaction times down. And I noticed that too. Because I actually made a mistake. I was actually super hungry. I actually starved myself one time at the racetrack, and I ate a cheeseburger. Well, that was fatty. It didn't break down, and I was sluggish. Like, I was really sluggish. It made me slow on the tree. I think I had like a 0.42 reaction time, and Super Pro, that ain't gonna cut it. 0.42 is not gonna cut it, and I lost obviously because I was 0.42. He was 0.009. So I already lost. But it just shows you how important nutrition is. Like, this is my pre-plan when I'm out there shooting 250 targets in a week. When I'm out there shooting, I eat peanuts, a lot of proteins, a lot of good carbs. I eat granola bars, Nutri-Grain bars, drink Gatorade in the mix. Now, Gatorade does have a lot of sugar. I'm not sponsored by this program by any means, but I was doing AvoCare products, And now I'm actually switching from Avocare to First Form, and they actually do like they actually have protein shakes, health bars and stuff, because I'm all about healthiness, and that's where we need to focus on our health wise, um, and to really focus on how to be healthy and how to maintain our health, because you're sitting in the car that's 100. I mean, especially down here in Louisiana, it's 100. It could be 100 degrees outside. Well, the humidity is 100%. So you put that suit on, it's like 130 degrees. It's 130, 140 degrees inside that car. So in order to replace those electrolytes, everybody just thinks it's water. You actually have to replace that with electrolytes. And then you have to be able to keep up with your carbohydrates and your proteins, because your body actually breaks down proteins really, really quickly. And so you got to be able to maintain a mental focus. And by eating a Nutri-Grain bar, or by eating peanuts, or if they need some, like when I'm shooting and I need a sugar rush, the best thing that I use is gummy bears. I put them in my vest, and I actually nibble on a couple of them when I'm waiting for my turn shooting. For when I call the target, I actually eat some gummy bears, because it gives me a high sugar rush instant. It's like that. So if they need a high sugar rush, keep a bag of gummy bears in the car. And then just if you need a sugar rush, just an instant sugar rush, eat the gummy bears before, eat a couple of them, and then drink it down with some water. So, and that's what really helps out, because you just need that sugar just to be like, oh, I'm feeling sluggish. Eat a couple of gummy bears, and that will actually help with instant sugar and instant.
Rush,
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the South, you're kind of southwest actually, but that's okay.
Yeah.
8th Mile is more popular down there than Quarter Mile.
It is.
What is your preference, or do you not care as long as you're able to go down that track?
I personally
totally loaded question. I understand that. Completely loaded.
I personally like 8th Mile racing. I personally like it. Number one, it doesn't destroy your stuff as it would in Quarter Mile, so your stuff actually lasts a little longer, and it really tightens up the racing. You can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you're gone. That's why I really like it. And it's not all about the high mile an hour, like you going up against a guy that's running 190 miles an hour in a Quarter Mile, and your car only runs 160. I mean, for instance, Super Comp, my director only ran 100, 164 miles an hour in a Quarter Mile. And you're going up against cars that are 190. So they're going to drop on you. And so my take is I love 8th Mile racing, because it's just, you cannot mess up. And it's not always the high mile an hour car that's going to win. And if you look at Super Comp, like a friend of mine back home in Division 5 last year at Topeka, doubled up in a door car. He had a reverse throttle stop, James Kunkel. He was amazing doing at 135 miles an hour on a reverse throttle stop. But that being said, that doesn't happen a lot, especially in a door car, and especially on a reverse throttle stop. It's mainly your high mile an hour cars. And that's the reason I really don't like Quarter Mile racing, but everybody like, oh, I could be biased. Everybody's like, oh, this guy. But if we really think about it, 8th Mile tightens everything up. That is where the big buck racing's at. That is where it's made. That's where the money's at, because you cannot make a mistake. You cannot make a mistake within yourself. You have to be perfect every time, at least. At least be perfect every time. And that's my take on 8th Mile. I know there's probably a lot of naysayers out there, Quarter Mile. But if they were, see, I'm a bracket racer. And you also talk to people that do heads up racing. You talk to people that have pro mods and stuff like that. You know, I'm just a bracket racer, but if you talk to a pro mod guy, they're probably thinking, well, Quarter Mile, because they want to run that car all out most of the time. But their tracks are also going 8th Mile too, because those guys are running ridiculous speeds in the 8th mile. 205, 210, 220, 230 in a door car. It's like, man, that's amazing. And I mean, it happens so quick. Now I can see why they would want to go quarter mile racing. So, I mean, I'm kind of, if that question is a loaded question, but I'm kind of for bracket racing, 8th mile, but for the heads up guys, I'm kind of thinking 1,000 foot. I'm kind of thinking, why don't we push them past a little bit past the 8th mile? Let's hit them to the 1,000 foot where they still like would do what the top field leaders are doing. You hit them to the 1,000 foot mark and shut them down. And so, and to see where that goes, I would now pro mods and NHRA is quarter mile. I love seeing those because a lot of things can happen in a crazy pro mod. I've seen those guys; they're nuts. I mean, my hat goes off to you pro mod guys. You guys have it down. Shifting fives. I do believe they have to shift 5 speeds now, and I was reading the rules, so they have to shift them. You know, that's impressive. My hat goes off to that. Now my little super sucker that I had, it was a 4-speed car, so I had a little 283 with a 4-speed behind it. So I love banging gears. Now that kind of racing, I love quarter mile racing because it would be tough to try to do 8th mile racing in super stock, especially with the 4-speed. Trying to be consistent every single time. Now that's tough. Now I do like it, but it's hard. And so, but yeah, going back to that, I'm about 8th mile racing.
As I say, it's kind of coming around in the Northeast, to a certain extent, mostly in like the outlaw, no prep, no rules, stuff like that. But it's always seemed like in the Southland that 8th mile was the preferred method, so to speak.
You're right, and that's always that been. And if everybody knows about Johnny Ezel with flickering the light bulbs, like then how shallow these guys can get on the tree, it's just amazing how shallow this has become. I never used to do that. Even in my junior dragster, I never used to be how shallow we could get into the beams. Like if we all watched Hunter Patton at the spring, I think it was the fall fling in Bristol, where he just lit that tree, the pre-stage bulb. It looked like something was flickering, like a butterfly was going across the laser beam. And it was like, man, these people are staging so shallow. I was like, this is amazing. And trying to figure that out, like that's one of my goals, is try to figure out how to do that, what Johnny Ezel does. Now, I don't want to do that against another competitor. I don't think it's right. I wouldn't do that. I race fair because, like I said at the beginning of this whole thing, I'm not racing against you. I'm racing against myself. So I'm going to go up there. I'm not going to play the waiting game. Who's going to stage first? Who's going to stage second? I always stage first. I don't care because I know in my mind, I can beat you. I know in my mind, I can do everything correctly. And I don't get into the psychological games because I just don't pay attention to it. I just pay attention at the task at hand, and that's me hitting the tree. I don't care who's next to me. I can care less.
All right, 2022, you're starting over, getting ready for hopefully making the national team. Do you have any racing plans thrown into the mix, or is it just strictly going to be skeet shooting?
It's just going to be shooting. I don't have any plans for racing right now. Because as a matter of fact, just to go back to this, I just sold my Ohio crankshaft 620 to a friend of mine. And so right now I don't even have an engine because I'm not selling my transmission or my converter. I was thinking about selling it, but I'm not going to sell it. I'm eventually going to probably buy a Rare Morrison 583 motor and doing that. And then, but I'm really focusing on my shooting right now is what I'm really honed in on. And we're just going to see where it goes. And it's been an experience because to give you an idea how long I've only been shooting bunker for, I've not even been shooting bunker for not even 5 months. And so I haven't been shooting bunker a lot, but I was good enough where I was actually invited to come to the U.S. Team Select and the national team selection match in Tucson, I got invited because everybody said, Nick, you're actually pretty good. And for my second time ever shooting in a bunker, and this was actually in Dallas Fort Worth, I took second place in the men's open division. I took second. So I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, I didn't realize how good I was until I figured, like, I could really do this. And so I've been hooked on it. It's a fun game, but we talked about it's expensive. It's probably more expensive than actual racing. And I break it down, we have to use a certain shell. The shells, you just can't buy them. You just can't buy them in the store. We have to use a 24-gram international target load. And with COVID and stuff, with all this going on, it's hard to get ammunition from Italy because Italy just closed their borders down because of COVID. So they're not letting anybody in Italy. The Italy's country is closed, and so we're trying to get ammunition, and it's tough. It is tough to try to find ammo right now. If it wasn't for Federal and Winchester producing some ammunition for us, it would be hard. And I like to reload when I'm out there practicing. I like to do my own shell reloading, my own shotgun shells, and it's trying to find primers and powder. It is difficult. It is not easy. It seems like when it goes out on the shelf, it's gone. It's gone in an instant. It's like, so yeah.
I go to the Bass Pro 20 miles down the road, and I walk through the gun section, and I look at the ammo and go, all right, I'm glad I don't need any because there ain't any there.
It's difficult, and it's so hard, and that's another reason why. That's another reason why it's so expensive. Because these companies now know because there's a high demand. So I mean, it seems like there's an inflation on these shells right now. It's like, just to give you an idea, real quick, how much it cost me to go to Tucson. I was able to find 3 cases back home in Kansas, where my family's from. I was able to buy 3 boxes. I mean, they call them flaks. I call them cases, which is 250 shells. I was able to find Winchester AA international target loads because that's what we have to use. And so I was like, I hit the mother load, but that cost me almost, what was it, $392 just for 3 shells. So if we break it down, that's almost $13 a box, almost, where I used to be able to get them at almost like $8 a box. Now it's $13 a box. So it's like, and there's only 25 shells in a box. So it's like, man, it's tough. It's really hard. But I'm focused on honing on my skills and hopefully for the next selection match for the men, and hopefully we're going to be going out there, and I'll be heading to Italy, and we're supposed to, our next match is in April. I do believe our next match is in April. So if I can make the team there, then we're going to Italy. I mean, we're not, if they open up the borders. If they don't open up the borders, we'll probably go back down to Cyprus, because that's where they're heading right now. They're heading there. I don't know when they're heading there. I haven't talked to my coach, but I know he's getting ready to go to Cyprus. So we're looking forward to that. He's looking forward to it, obviously. So.
All right, so some people that are over in Beijing right now. Give us some scoop. We want Olympic scoop from Beijing. Anything? What do you got for me?
I wish I did. I don't have a lot of. I don't have a lot of information on that. I wasn't able to talk to anybody there yet. A couple of my friends, they're so busy right now. So I really don't have a scoop. Because we don't. I guess it's kind of funny. I'm a summer guy, and they're winter, so they really don't. They would like to watch the summer sometimes, but so sometimes we don't even focus on what they're doing because we got to focus on what we got to do. So because they're busy, we're busy, and yeah. So we really don't have time to really chit chat a lot. So. Because they're busy, and we're always focused on trying to try to better ourselves and trying to actually make the team. So it's because it's hard. And you obviously know you have a child that's in junior Olympics, and you know how difficult it is. It is tough. We have to mentally prepare for this. And when we don't feel like we make the team, it kind of feels like, are we good enough? I mean, it kind of hurts our self-esteem a lot, because because you got to be good. Like you just can't go out there and not be able to perform. You have to go out there and give it all you got. And then when you do that, and then you feel like, why am I really doing this? This is hard. This is like stupid. This is like where I just want to just sell everything, be done, and just say, you know what, it's never going to happen. But
put the race car in the trailer and go have fun on the weekends, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly right. So,
I mean, when you practice, how many targets a day, how many clays a day do you shoot?
well, if I had a range close to me, and that's another problem that we have with our program with here in America, just to give you a breakdown, there's only about a handful of bunkers in America, because a bunker costs so much money. One bunker will cost $500,000 because you need 15 machines. And because each machine is $5,000 each, then you have to build a canopy, then you have to get concrete, you have to get a lot of things. They're very, very, very expensive. And my closest range is actually 8 hours away. Is actually the closest one, and that's in Dallas. And so, because there's just not a handful of bunkers out there, because each machine, so on station 1, you got 1, 2, 3, and they go from a left to a right to a middle. You don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know what the target's going to do. And that's where your reaction time comes down. You have 2 tenths is what in trap, you have 2 tenths. Once you say pull, you have 2 tenths react to that target. I mean, it is a blur. And there's a reason why it's very hard sometimes for the judges the referees to really see if the target was hit or miss. Sometimes it could just be a little tiny nick that big, and that target's going over 80 miles an hour, at least 80. And you got to try to see if that person hit it or not. So, I mean, it is a difficult game. And it's unfortunate that we don't have a lot of bunkers here in America. Now, you go to Italy, and back when I said this before, there's 4,200 shooters, if that, in America to try to make the Olympic team. In Italy, there's 35,000. 35,000 shooters trying to make the top 6. And then you only have to have 2 to make the Olympic team. The Italians are the powerhouse. And this is where it was originated from. This is where all your gun manufacturers, you talked about Browning and Benelli, that's American made. But when we're talking about an Olympic high-end trap gun, Perazzi, Beretta. Now, Beretta is made here in America, but they only make a semi-auto. They actually don't make the Beretta DT11. That's actually made over in Italy. So that's actually where Beretta was made in Italy. And then they have another company called Resini. Then they have a German company called Krieghoff. So to give you a base on a base model of a Perazzi is $12,900. That's your base. And so a Krieghoff is $12,000. A Beretta DT11, now they're the cheapest, and they're still about $9,000. So
a lot of race car parts, right?
Right. I mean, that's what, but, and I go back to it as it's a tool. You need a good tool to be able to perform at your best. And when you buy a shotgun like that, you actually have to buy it fitted to you, because you want that shotgun to be able to fit to yourself, and they make that for you. So that's also in the price. So it doesn't cost you any extra to try to make a stock to you. Now some do, depending on how extravagant you want to go with your stock and stuff like that. But for a basic, they'll fit you. they'll do all that. They'll take the measurements, and they'll go from there. So yeah. So
I'll tell you, I enjoy watching biathlon, and I happened a few years ago, just for the hell of it, I went on and I googled the Ann Schultz rifle that they use, and I couldn't believe the price of that 22 rifle. I mean,
they're
it's like
expensive.
the basic one without the harness was something like $6,000. You know,
Yeah, it's outrageous. They're crazy. Yeah, I know,
it is nuts.
But you pay for what you get, you know, and that's what it comes down to. And it will, as long as you take care of it, it can be presented from your kid. I mean, from you to your son or to your daughter, and so on. It can go as long as it doesn't rust. Rust is the number one gun killer, just like on a car. Rust is the number one killer. That's what depreciates faster than anything is rust. That is why it's so important to maintain your equipment. And it's like trying to do an oil change or doing valves on your engine or doing springs, making sure that everything is all connected. We still have to do that with our shotguns. We have to make sure that our shotgun is performing at our best. Now, unfortunately, my shotgun didn't really perform its best. It actually had a malfunction. So I was able to try other guns, but we were able to fix my gun. But I was, because there was me and another guy. I actually shoot a semi-auto. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm the only one that shoots a semi-automatic. I shoot 1100. They don't even make them anymore. Made by Remington. Yep. So Remington filed bankruptcy. So it's very, very hard for me to find parts. So that's another reason why I have to buy me an expensive gun, and because I'm trying to perform at my best. So yeah. So that's the reason why racing's off on hold right now, because I'm trying to go after this medal.
Now, are you gonna at least try to go check out some races this year? Obviously, travel depending.
I will. I'm gonna go do some races. I'll just go watch. I'm probably not gonna race. I'll go out there and cheer people on and just watch and talk to people and just and try to help any way I can. And because a lot of people think that I should be able to be like a psychologist or something in the racing world, because I help them get into their head. Like I help them get in their heads. And I was like, I don't know where this come from, but I was like, to break it down, it's only you got to be able to go out there and perform. You know, I mean, we make this so complicated. Our brains make this such a complicated game. It really does. We really complicate things. But in all honesty, that's why I love the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So,
all right. One of my last questions for you. Any track in the country that you have not gone to that you want? What is number one on your list to either go, or at least just be at, or compete at?
I would want to say the number one track is that I would love to go to Pomona. I always wanted to go out to Pomona because I feel like if you go out to Pomona, you earn your right to be out there. And that's my whole goal. And I've never been to Pomona. Like I want to go out there for that title, and whether it's in Super Comp or because I don't even know to answer that question. I was like, if I do this big buck bracket racing stuff, or if I'm going to do NHL race stuff, I probably will buy me a little stalker, because stalkers don't cost a whole lot of money. It's actually one of the easiest classes to run, and you don't need a lot of money to run. And Adam Davis actually told me to buy a stalker. When I told him that Johnny Ezo was better than me, a dragster, boy, he flipped his lid. He told me I was so stupid. He said, I hate those things. He said, those things are so boring. He's like, when I watch those at the big buck races, I turn it off. And that's what Adam Davis told me. Adam Davis said, Nick, I can't believe you just went out and bought yourself a stupid dragster. And so he's like, So if I do this and I get back into racing, which I will, I might sell the dragster if I don't like the big buck scene. If I don't do well at the big buck scene, then I might just say, hey, well, let's go have fun in a stalker and let's go to these NHRA events. And yeah, I know they don't pay, but it's the camaraderie. It's a lot of people out there, and it's a lot of fun and trying to win some wallies. And I'm not trying to do it to make a living at this. I'm not. By trade, I'm actually a diesel mechanic, and so it's like, if I go out there and I go buy me a little stalker, a little $12,000 car, then it'll help. So
very cool. Well, I have to say there was a lot more involved in the two sides and how they can kind of come together. The skeet shooting and the drag racing world, and I thought it was really cool how a lot of the stuff from skeet shooting, trap shooting, you could carry over to the racing world. I was really impressed with that. I thought that was really cool.
Because you have and because our whole lives are dealing with thousandths of an inch, whether you're a machinist or a mechanic or a doctor or whatever your profession is. Our whole, even when we drive our car, a wreck can happen out of thousandths of a second. Our whole life is lived by a thousandth of an inch or a thousandth of a second. And to really break it down, that's kind of how this whole racing world, when the shooting world works, is by reaction. And because that's how our life is. We live by reaction times every day. And people, if we can get into the minds, if Frank, because I've learned so much from Frank in 2 days. It's, if anybody out there is like want to think about going to his school, I would highly encourage go to Frank's school. If you have the money to go for a couple days, you will learn so much from him. And because he will talk to you. I mean, he will just get down to you mentally. And it's a phenomenal program. There's a reason why there's a lot of top racers that do really well out of his school. And I mean, it's amazing to be able to pass that on. It's to learn what he taught me, to be able to pass that on to other racers. Because I learned a lot. But yeah, it's shooting and racing. We live by a thousandth of an inch and a thousandth of a second when it comes to reaction times. Awesome. Whether it's 2 tenths or 5 tenths or 4 tenths.
Very cool. So Nick, if anybody wants to follow your Olympic dreams, where can they find you on the internet?
My Instagram is Nicholas Kissack. I'm actually trying to create. I'm actually trying to get photos and everything. That was actually a U.S. Selection match. You actually can Google me. Now I'm at the bottom of the list. Obviously, it's not good, but it is what it is. And so, you'll see everything on my Instagram page. I'm actually in the process of. My wife is actually a graphic art designer. So we're trying to get me onto the media page. So it's going to be on Instagram. It's Nicholas Kissack. So it's NICHOLAS and it's KISSACK. And then they can also hit me up on Facebook.
Awesome.
So
very cool. Well, obviously the best of luck. I'm going to be watching when I see this stuff come up on YouTube, and hopefully we'll see you representing the U.S. in Paris.
I would love to. That's my goal, and and it's achievable, and it's not something that it's not unachievable. It's I have this thing called PMA, and that's always a positive mental attitude, and that's how I look at life, and that's how I look at everything. So yeah, I appreciate it, and I can use all the luck and prayers and everything out there come my way, and I'm going to do my best.
All right, man, can't ask for anything more than that.
I appreciate it, and hopefully you guys will be able to follow me, and I'll have you guys to support behind me, and and it's awesome to be able to talk. So if I'm ever at the track and you guys ever see me, don't hesitate to stop by to talk to me, or if you guys see me, don't if you come and say hi. I don't want to bother you guys when you guys are racing, but I would love to talk to some of your racers out there to get into your minds, just to see how you guys are doing.
Very cool. All right, Nick Kissack, our guest for this evening on Racers News Network Live. Thank you very much for all your time, Nick. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be following you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me again. And it
All
was
right,
an
you're
honor.
welcome.
Thank you, sir.
All right, have a great night, Nick.
You too, sir. Thank you.
All right. So like I said, Pete wasn't able to join us tonight. Unfortunately, he lost his uncle the other day, and the services are tomorrow. And he's been trying to get his uncle's hot rod going, and so they can have it at the services tomorrow. So obviously, Pete, if you are watching or get a chance to watch, thinking about you, buddy. And that is that. We're going to kick off the divisional series next weekend in South Georgia Motorsports Park. That is the kickoff of the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series for 2022. So best of luck to everybody that's going to be there. One of the things that Nick did mention, his dream track to go to is Pomona. I know I said this last week, but I think it bears repeating. Racers attending the 62nd annual Lucas Oil NHRA Winter Nationals, presented by ProtectTheHarvest.com, will be greeted with a freshly ground and polished and prepped racing service that figures to help racers achieve both improved performance and consistent side-by-side racing. Total Venue Concepts was in charge of doing all the track grinding and polishing. So there you go. Something really cool to kick off the national events right there, Pomona. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come for track improvements owned by NHRA. All right. So next week, we will not be live Monday night. We are going to be live Tuesday night. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Not that we don't have fun every week, but something just a little bit different. Joining us will be Jackie Frick, her husband, Sean, and her niece, Taylor Nobile. We're doing kind of like a Q&A for the married racing couple. Taylor's going to be hosting it. Me and Pete and hopefully Jerron will be here. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully they're at separate ends of the house so nobody gets hurt. More so we're worried about Sean. But that's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, Taylor Nobile is going to be the host. And we'll be here hanging out, watching the answers and the questions fly by. And then joining us on February 21st is going to be Carly Wolf. Carly's going to be talking about how to keep the next generation interested in drag racing. So she will be our guest on the 21st. And like I said, Taylor Nobile and Sean Frick and Jackie Frick will be here next Tuesday night, the 15th. Monday, the 14th is obviously Valentine's Day. So everybody enjoy the Valentine's Day celebrations, however you choose to, or over the weekend. And start doing a sunny and 70 dance, because we're up here in New England and we're getting sick of the snow. So the snow and the cold, actually. All right, everybody, we're out of here again. Thank you to Nick Kissack. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. Olympic hopeful in the great sport of skeet shooting. Have a great night, everybody. We will be back Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. See ya.